Hey there to our 1,189 subscribers, our future subscribers, and all the people that secretly watch us without subscribing. I'm here today with the second recovery update for anybody that is interested. I'm not going to go day by day this time and just kind of give an overall of what's been going on. I also want to talk about a couple of things that I forgot to mention in the last video. And hopefully, once I get through this recovery period, or the majority of it, I can make a video about things that I'm glad I prepared for, things I wish I would have prepared for, and then things that I prepared for that me personally I didn't need. So for the first part of update number 2, so update number 1 I did on Sunday, August 2nd. Today is Saturday, August 8th. So things that I left out of the first update. And so I had a rash on, I don't know how to, not really a rash, just a bunch of little bumps that were irritating on my bottom. And I don't know if it was like from sitting too long, or not sitting, laying down too long, or if it was something to do with the actual, something that happened, as far as like laying on the table when they were doing the surgery or whatever. But I'm assuming it's to do with the lupus, because it's kind of similar to the rashes I get on my back. But and then the crazy looking bruises. And it's not really a big deal. It's just, I took pictures, so I might as well show them to you. So I didn't get that opened up, but I will show you real quick, because they're fading now, so they're not as bad. Let's see, camera. So like this one, when I did the last update, oh no, I don't think you can see it. I don't think it's going to let you see. Oh wait, there we go. That's what it looked like when I did the last update. I don't know, these pictures really don't show real well, but so I had multiple bruises on this hand, so this hand was mostly for just blood draws. This hand, there was like a couple of IVs and stuff, and so the bruising just kind of went all over and around my arm there. So that was one from one of the IVs. That was from a second IV. I don't know. The cameras don't show it very well, and that was the bruising that wrapped around my arm, which I don't know why it did that, but anyway, none of that even really matters, but just in case somebody's curious, the bruises were like sort of the touch, and the one main IV still kind of hurts a little bit, but yeah, bruises just kind of hurt sometimes. So there was this issue I was having with vaginal itching or stinging, and not itching, it was irritation, stinging kind of feeling, and it took me a while to realize that it was most likely just because the tissue was swollen. Because like I know with my foot, that I injured back at the end of May, the swelling was just making my foot itch like crazy, to where I was putting lotion on it every day once I was comfortable enough to actually touch it. And so I'm kind of thinking of something like that, where it was just the swelling of the tissues was making it feel irritated. But it is getting better. The swelling's coming down, so that's good. And speaking of my ankle, so before I went into surgery, they put these compression things on my legs that when I went into surgery, they hooked them up. And so they were like massaging my legs to make sure I didn't get any blood clots. And believe it or not, as crazy as it sounds, after all those, I think it was like 8.5 weeks, I think I was, after the injury, that I was still having swelling when I went in for surgery. It's either 8.5 or 9.5 weeks, I don't even know at this point. But almost all the swelling came down within that time frame I was in the hospital. And so I was in the, so from the time they did surgery, surgery was almost 8 o'clock in the morning. And then the next day they took those off. I'd say they were on over 24 hours, and it got rid of almost all the swelling. I did have the ankle boot on for a few days around the house, and now I've realized I don't actually even need it. So, yay for my ankle. So anyway, as far as the recovery from the surgery, so where I left off in the last update, I had finally had a bowel movement, and it felt very violent. And by what I mean is like the amount that it just like took over my body. It's really hard to explain, but it's like my whole body just felt like it was being attacked, I guess, in a way. That lasted for 2 days, which was 3 and 4 days post-op. And I don't know, it might have been exaggerated by the fact that with the rectocell that I had, it affected, I'm guessing that's what affected my bowels for years. I mean, I had that rectocell, it needed to be repaired. I don't even know how many years, and I didn't have it done because I didn't know. I just thought it was a normal thing that was happening. So I just let it go and let it go until it got kind of bad. And so I didn't have normal bowel movements before the surgery, and now I am. So I'm guessing that could have contributed to why they felt so violent the first 2 days that I had them. The first completely normal bowel movement without violence was about 7 days post-op. Let's see. So, let's see. Oh, after a day and a half of those violent episodes, the longest sleep I had since surgery happened like in the middle of the second day, and I woke up in substantial pain because all the meds had worn off, and my body was like still trying to cope with what it had gone through for the last day and a half, and so that kind of sucked, but at least I started being able to get some sleep. And originally I thought that I had torn something after the 2 days of that happening, because there was pain in a way where I thought that I had torn something down in the perineum. I don't know if people know what that is. It's the space between the rectum and the vagina. There's the perineum, and I thought I had torn something there. And also because I was seeing more blood than I had seen before. And just to be clear, with the exception of when I was in the hospital, all of the blood I have seen during surgery has been pink. They did tell me that I could have a lot of bleeding, and it might be red and then turn brown and all this stuff. That has not happened at all. Basically, what I've had is drainage from the incisions, and it's just been pink, and it just varies light pink to dark pink, depending on how much there is. So, anyway, I thought I had torn something until a couple of days ago, I sent all of my medical stuff from the hospital to ChatGPT to look over the surgery, the operative report or whatever it's called, and discovered that the rectocell was a lot more dramatic to repair than I had thought. Like, I thought it was going to be like they just cut the tissue, one cut, and, stitch the muscles back together, and then sew it shut. And that's not quite what happened. They cut out a diamond-shaped portion of tissue so they could access the damage, and then they did the repair, and then they stitched it all closed, and the incision it covers pretty much, from my understanding, the back wall of the vagina, all the way out to the perineum. And so most likely the pain I've been feeling, that I thought I had torn something, is probably the end of the incision, and there's probably a stitch there. I'm not going to try to find out. I'm just going to be very careful with it. But that's also probably why the one time that I did try to sit on the edge of my bed just for a minute to make sure that, because I was like feeling dizzy, why it hurt so bad. So sitting is still off limits, unfortunately. And hopefully that gets a little bit better by Tuesday, because I have my follow-up on Tuesday, which is going to take 300-mile round trip, and that sucks. Moving on. So 5 days post-op, I started trying to taper my meds because they did only give me enough to last for a week. And the first day was in the hospital. So I'm 4 days into my medication, and I was trying to taper it, and it was a fail multiple times. Every time I skipped it, then when I tried to take something later, then it took more effort to get the pain back into control, and that really sucked. And then within a day, the pain meds really just, I realized, weren't working. They just basically almost completely stopped working. 7 days post-op was my first real headache since surgery. For those of you that follow me, you probably know that I have a lot of headaches. Sometimes I'll go days, weeks, or even months with headaches constantly. And nothing I did helped this headache. I tried the pain medication. I tried sleeping. I tried coffee. I tried, anything I could think of. And I ended up feeling sick all day, and I'm assuming I felt sick from the headache, but I don't know that for sure. So 8 to 10 days post-op, which is where I'm at right now. I have had more bleeding, what appears to be more bleeding. I'm not going to say I had more bleeding. I'm going to say it looks like more bleeding. And I'm assuming, based on what I now know, it's the drainage from the rectocell, because it does go all the way down, and plus across and whatever. Anyway, I'm assuming that it's the drainage from the rectocell that's not completely closed up, and it probably looks like more bleeding because the swelling's coming down, and so it's allowing the blood to come out more. But it's still pink and light to medium, sometimes dark pink, but that's it. So anyway, that's what I have for today's update, and I gotta get this wrapped up and get these fans back on, because it is already 90 degrees on my porch, and so having the fans off too long is a bad idea. But I wanted to be able to get a shower before recording, and today is actually the first day I've been able to stand long enough to take a full shower and braid my hair, even if the braids are a little crappy. But at least I was able to stand up long enough to do it, barely. But I did get it done. I'm going to recline here and chill while the video uploads, and hopefully you guys are enjoying the Monday and Wednesday videos, and I will be back maybe next weekend, if anything important happens, or maybe if nothing important happens, I'll just get on here for a minute and say, hey, nothing has changed, everything's the same. But I should have something to report, since I do have my 2-week checkup on Tuesday, and so I will try to let you guys know how that goes. So thank you for sticking with me. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share, and get your friends to do the same thing. Thank you. Bye.